Yuhao arrives, attack during the feast. Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. A few days had passed, but the imperial palace was still heavily guarded. Reconstruction was bound to begin soon. Given the power of the Sun Moon Empire, a new palace would be reconstructed in less than 2 years. It would even be more majestic than before, while it would most certainly be more defensively sound. This was the strength of technology. No one could stop the progress of technology. As technology continued to develop, all sorts of problems were developing in society. This also caused changes to the situation in the continent. Huo Yuhao couldn't help but sigh heavily when he looked in the direction of the Sun Moon Empire. Tang Wutong held his hand. What's wrong? We should be able to influence proceedings in the entire continent given our current abilities. As long as you're vicious enough, we can kill Zhu Zi after we kill Shu Qianran. There will certainly be chaos in the Sun Moon Empire. When that happens, they'll slow down. No matter who ascends the throne, we'll kill him and turn the Sun Moon Empire into a complete mess. One day, the Star Luo and Douling empires will catch up. We just need to protect the continent and stop the Sun Moon Empire from ruling the continent. Huo Yuhao shook his head and said, if everything is as simple as you think, it'll be great. It's a pity that the world isn't like this. It won't change according to our imagination. If we kill Shu Qianran, there will be internal chaos in the Sun Moon Empire. However, Zhu Zi's still around. With her power and influence in the military, she'll be able to control the entire situation. At least, it won't be too chaotic in the Sun Moon Empire. However, if we kill her, the entire Sun Moon Empire will really descend into chaos. The Sun Moon Empire is too powerful. If you let those Soul Engineer legions fight the Star Luo or Douling empires, they'll be almost invincible. Once they aren't restrained anymore and run riot, the entire continent will be affected. Countless lives will be lost to those Soul Engineers. The reason why I've been tolerating Zhu Zi is because she doesn't kill for the sake of killing. Unless it's war, she's always been able to restrain her subordinates. Every fight is settled while minimizing casualties. If the continent is unified, because of Soul Tool technology, Zhu Zi is actually the most suitable person to rule the continent. In this world, whatever stays together too long will separate, and whatever's separated for too long will come together. The Heavenly Dou and Star Luo empires had ruled the continent for thousands of years, and they've been at odds for thousands of years too. When they destroyed the Martial Hall, many people thought that the continent would enter an era of peace. However, how long did it take? How long did it take for the Heavenly Dou Empire to split into the Heavenly Soul and Douling empires? The conflicts never stopped. This is why there are so many empires. Perhaps a unified empire might be a good thing for the future of the Doluo continent. At least it's a good thing in the short term. Tang Wutong was astonished as she looked at Huo Yuhao. She asked, are you in favor of the Sun Moon Empire ruling the entire continent? Huo Yuhao shook his head and said, of course not. I'm saying all this because I don't want to see a chaotic continent. We're already strong enough, but we are unable to influence the entire continent. We can't turn the entire continent into a battlefield just because of what we want to see. Moreover, you've seen what happened to Yi Shishui, and Elder Long Ultimate Doluo are no longer invincible as Soul Tool technology develops. In the future, the Sun Moon Empire might actually have ways to deal with us. This is why we can rely on our own strength to influence the continent. However, we must know our limits. Comparatively speaking, Ultimate Doluo are usually more significant when it comes to asserting a stance. Yes. Tang Wutong sighed gently. In fact, right now, I only hope that we can get as far away as possible from those conflicts. We've been through too much over the past few years. I'm tired. After we conclude our 10-year promise with Zhu Zi, we'll proceed with our closed-door cultivation. We'll not care about anything, and become Ultimate Doluo first. After the 10 years are over, we'll have done our best. Huo Yuhao smiled and hugged her thin waist. She came into his embrace. Some things couldn't be resisted, such as the need to conform with the times. Who could say what the continent would be like in the future? 10,000 years ago, who would have expected soul masters to be slowly replaced by soul engineers, when the martial soul hall ruled the continent? Did soul tools make soul masters so useless? A soul master legion was actually helpless against a soul engineer legion. This was unbelievable. Huo Yuhao was still very focused on finding Zhu Zi as they spoke. The Sun Moon Imperial Palace had already been destroyed. However, the Sun Moon Empire's imperial family was still in Radiant City. The few buildings near the palace were snapped up and heavily guarded by soldiers. Huo Yuhao discovered a few soul engineer legions using his spiritual detection. There was even a complete soul formation. Surveillance soul tools were even more prevalent than before. Even if Shu Qianran wanted to visit the washroom, he would probably still be under the surveillance of these soul tools. No one could escape them, no matter which building they were in.
These buildings weren't very tall or big. The buildings around the palace weren't allowed to be too high. This was a requirement. The palace wasn't built very tall either. This was because tall buildings were easily attacked by soul tools. Of course, given the defenses around Radiant City, the new Imperial Palace would probably be much higher if Huo Yuhao hadn't managed to successfully lead 3 Soul Engineer legions in a successful attack. Zhu Zi was in one of the rooms on the 3rd story of a building. Shu Qianran wasn't with her. He was in another building. The defense there was even stricter. Just by scanning slightly, Huo Yuhao understood why the defense was so strict there. Shu Qianran was evidently not confident that the 2 ultimate Delor were dead. This was why a situation like this appeared. It was no wonder he was so paranoid. Ultimate Delor were too scary. Without being in the same tier, it was impossible for one to gauge how strong they were. If an ultimate Delor wanted to exact revenge, it was not something anyone could deal with. Shu Qianran must have been living in fear over the past few days. Zhu Zi is still the smartest. Huo Yuhao sighed. When he sensed the changes in front of him, he even managed to roughly guess what she was thinking. After hearing his words, Tang Wutong was also slightly moved. She asked, "Are you saying that the strict defense around here is also Zhu Zi's ploy? What's the benefit of doing this? If their defense is too strict, it's not going to be beneficial for us." Huo Yuhao shook his head and said, "If I'm not wrong, Zhu Zi must have a backup plan. This shouldn't be her only plan. Think about it. After all, we and the Sun Moon Empire are in conflict. We can't be controlled by Zhu Zi either. What would you do if you were her? If it were me, I wouldn't fulfill our promise. However, she has a deep hatred for Shu Qianran. It's not possible for her to not make a move. This is why she must have another plan. This plan should be hatched inside the Sun Moon Empire. I'm afraid she's already bribed some people. She's creating this atmosphere to cover things up. Once Shu Qianran dies, she can plant his death on the 2 ultimate Delor. It's impossible to verify that theory. What that happens, the Empire will mourn together. Along with her influence in the army, it'll be much easier for her to control the entire Empire. Those Imperial family members can't fight her at all." After listening to Huo Yuhao's analysis, Tang Wutong was shocked. However, she's soon laughing. She was even laughing very sweetly. "Why are you laughing?" Huo Yuhao was stunned. Tang Wutong laughed. "I'm laughing because didn't she lose to me even though she's so intelligent? This only proves I'm smarter. What's so good about ruling the continent? How is she as free as us? Most importantly, you belong to me. You completely belong to me. I won't even give her a bit of you." Huo Yuhao couldn't help but laugh when he felt Tang Wutong's feelings. Although he was a little uncomfortable with Zhu Zi's ambitions and cunning, it was still acceptable to him. After all, she would become a sacrifice in the environment that she was in. "Let's go. Let's go and give her some help." Huo Yuhao led Tang Wutong as they fused into the void. This time, they were borrowing the power of space. When they appeared again, they were already inside Radiant City, in a dark corner. They didn't reveal themselves. The perfect combination of imitation and spatial control generated such an effect. Along with the adjustment of temperature and control of their spiritual undulations, Huo Yuhao managed to fuse with the air. At least, the current soul technology meant that it was almost impossible to expose them. Space broke open once again. Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong entered the building Ju Zi was in. It was a luxurious and expansive hotel. Undoubtedly, it was the estate of the Sun Moon Empire's imperial family. Ju Zi was in the biggest room on the 3rd story. There were more than 10 maids in the room. Right now, she was with her son. Xu Yunhan was no longer the little fellow that needed to be carried all the time. He had grown quite significantly, and was running around. He was very cute, and was doted on by everyone. Ju Zi was sitting on a luxurious, high seat. When she looked at her son running around the room, there was a benevolent look on her face. How could anyone imagine the invincible war god empress in this state? Yunhan, run slower. You're already sweating. Get some water. Ju Zi waved to her son. Little Yunhan ran to her side and opened his eyes wide as he looked at his mother. There was a grin on his face. Mom, I want milk. Ju Zi twisted her lips. Rascal, you're already so old. I'm long out of milk. Little Yunhan was just like other little kids. He was very close to his mother, who had breastfed him since he was young. He climbed onto Ju Zi and was smiling as he rubbed his mother's chest. Ju Zi hugged little Yunhan tightly. At this moment, he was everything in her heart. She only felt fulfilled when she hugged him. She didn't think of anything else right now. She was completely immersed in the joy she shared with her son. Ju Zi. A soft voice sounded in her ears. Ju Zi shuddered. Little Yunhan immediately sensed the changes to his mother. He lifted his head and looked at her. What's wrong, Mom? Ju Zi was stunned for a moment. Her eyes turned red. At the same time, the 2 most important men in her life appeared. It was an indescribable feeling. She wanted to tell the little fellow in her arms that the person he had once called his father was here. She even wanted to jump into that person's embrace with him. When she thought until here, she felt as if her heart was being scalded by hot water. She couldn't tell whether it was painful or relieving. Precisely because that day never seemed to come, she desired it so much when both of them were in front of her right now. After pausing for a few seconds, Ju Zi kissed her son when that voice didn't appear again. She said, Yunhan, I have something I need to deal with. Leave with Auntie first. As she spoke, she waved her hand. Naturally, a servant came over and took little Yunhan away. Ju Zi waved her hand, and all her servants retreated. She walked to her work desk before sitting down. She forcibly tried to calm herself down before muttering, Don't reveal yourself. Once you reveal yourself, you will be discovered. She really wanted to see him. However, that was obviously not a good choice. As she slowly calmed down, she couldn't help but feel astonished. Given the current defenses around here, she had originally thought that Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong wouldn't be able to find her. This was because all the surveillance soul tools in this building were targeted at ultimate Doluo. Ju Zi couldn't even sleep every night, and could only meditate to restore her energy. She didn't even know how long this would last. Anyway, Xu Tianran had already given the order to await the revenge that could come at any time. At the same time, the search for the 2 ultimate Doluo had intensified. Before they were found, Xu Tianran was not going to relax. He still wanted to rule the entire continent. No one else was more afraid of death right now. Huo Yuhao's voice sounded once again. We won't appear. I've also scanned this place thoroughly. Have you thought of what plan you have? How are we going to deal with Xu Tianran?
Ju Zi revealed a bitter smile on her face and said, I had originally thought that you couldn't sneak in, and we'd have to make another plan. The defenses here are too strict. There aren't any loopholes. The Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion is with him. There are also many strong individuals protecting him. Unless we assault him, there's no way of killing him. However, an assault is impossible too. This is why we can only wait now. We'll wait for him to make a mistake. How long can the 2 of you wait? We can't wait any longer. Huo Yuhao answered without any hesitation. It wasn't that he was impatient. It was that the energy in his body had no patience. Right now, he was under huge pressure from the Evil Eye Tyrant King's spiritual power and Long Xiaoyao's soul power. Given the strength of his twin soul cores, he was even a little overwhelmed. Right now, what he needed was time to cultivate, so that he could fuse the spiritual and soul power into his body. This was why he had to quickly settle things here. However, he couldn't wait until he finished cultivating before he returned. He had a feeling that this closed-door cultivation would be his longest one ever. It might take several years, or even a decade. No one knew. Things would change greatly within that span of time. This was why he had to settle things over here before he went to cultivate. Juzi furrowed her brow. You can't wait. I can't think of a better way now. Xu Qianran is very cautious right now. He only trusts the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion now, as well as those who are secretly in hiding around him. He's protected by them. There are also many powerful soul formations installed around this makeshift palace. Once there's any movement, they will immediately be activated. Although they are still weaker than high-energy compression array soul tools, they are still effective against the attacks of ultimate Doluo. Tell me, how are we supposed to touch him then? When she saw the helplessness on Juzi's face, Huo Yuhao said, Juzi, let's be honest. If I'm not wrong, you should have been involved in creating such a situation. The reason why you are doing this is because you want to frame those two ultimate Doluo. Am I right? Since this is the case, you must have a backup plan. You should have someone close to Xu Qianran. I won't play around with you either. I'll make an opportunity for you. I'll create a miracle for you. I don't care how you want to control the Sun Moon Empire in the future. As long as you fulfill your promise not to start a war in the next 10 years, I'm fine with anything else. Juzi didn't appear astonished. She sighed and said, Why do you understand me so well? Do you know that this isn't good? I'll continue to have ideas of you. They can only remain as ideas then. Tang Wutong said coldly. Juzi's expression changed, and she replied, It's not a good time now. I can create an opportunity for you, but your safety is not guaranteed. I don't want you to die here either. That's why I hope that both of you can wait for a more opportune time. Huo Yuhao was persistent. No, we can't wait any longer. We must act now. As for our safety, you don't have to care. We have our own ways of escaping. You just need to make an opportunity for us. Juzi was astonished as she asked, You're so confident. I can tell you a few things, Huo Yuhao said calmly. First, Long Xiaoyao and Yi Shishui are both dead. We helped them escape, but they died in front of us. As for the Holy Ghost Church, you don't have to worry about them. We've killed almost all their senior officials. They won't be a threat anymore. Their headquarters is in the Evil Demon Forest. We also destroyed their resources with a Class 9 shell. We even alarmed the Evil Eye Tyrant King. What? Juzi was astonished as she stood up. She was really shocked now. Her eyes were wide open. What kind of existence was the Evil Eye Tyrant King? She didn't really have much of an understanding of things in the Doluo continent. However, she had heard many legends about the Evil Eye Tyrant King as someone from the Sun Moon Empire. The Sun Moon Empire even had a Soul Engineer Legion named after him. To some extent, the Evil Eye Tyrant King was like a symbol in the Sun Moon Empire. Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong managed to escape unscathed after meeting the Evil Eye Tyrant King. This shows how strong they are. Are you okay? Is anyone hurt? Juzi asked anxiously. While she was asking both of them, it was obvious who she was concerned about. Huo Yuhao replied, He's dead. We killed him. Now, you should know why I'm confident. Zhong Liwu and Feng Ling are both dead too. Take it as a gift from us. You shouldn't have any misgivings now. The priority now is to kill Xu Qianran. As for what will happen next, I don't care. I just hope you can fulfill your promise. After that, Wutong and I will proceed somewhere else to cultivate for some time. Juzi was silent. She slightly lowered her head. She didn't let Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong look into her eyes. Huo Yuhao could sense that she was quickly thinking of something. He didn't rush her either. He only waited silently. Now, it was important to give her some time to think. A brief moment passed. When Juzi lifted her head again, the look in her eyes was already very determined. She wasn't as gentle as before. The war god empress was back. Wait here. I'll go out for a while. We'll attack tonight. After she finished speaking, she quickly walked out. Huo Yuhao was in fact very curious. Under such strict monitoring, how was she going to expedite the matter? It wasn't going to be easy for her to deploy her people. This was because all movements in the makeshift palace were monitored by surveillance soul tools. She was also the war god empress. There were bound to be many eyes on her now. Huo Yuhao's spiritual detection had enveloped the entire compound and was following Zhu Zi. Much to his surprise, Zhu Zi was actually looking for Shu Qianran. Along the way, she was not walking very quickly. In fact, there did not seem to be anything strange about the way she was walking. However, Huo Yuhao's spiritual detection was definitely able to extract more information from his observations than normal surveillance soul tools could. At the very least, those surveillance soul tools would not be able to monitor her heart rate, pulse, and spiritual fluctuations. However, with Huo Yuhao's current ability, he was able to monitor all of these details. Hence, he had been sensing the transformations within Zhu Zi. And it seemed like he had managed to identify some peculiarities. Firstly, Zhu Zi was making too many unnecessary motions. While she was walking, she seemed to be scratching her head and adjusting her posture too often. Every time she made those little adjustments, her heart rate would increase. Even though the increase was not very significant, the change was apparent. On top of that, her spiritual fluctuations would also increase. This was definitely not something which could be caused by her body. It could only originate from her thoughts. It seemed like she was already prepared. Even though Huo Yuhao was using his spiritual detection, he could not be certain about what she had done. After a good 20 minutes, Zhu Zi finally found Shu Qianran. Huo Yuhao was unable to tell what she was saying to him. An hour later, a few people took the same path Zhu Zi had taken, and all of them had the same increased heart rate and spiritual fluctuations as her. There were only 7 to 8 people who exhibited the same characteristics as Zhu Zi out of the few hundred people who had walked the same path. No one would have been able to detect what was wrong with them. This was simply something that surveillance soul tools were not capable of. Huo Yuhao squinted and spoke to Tang Wutong. Zhu Zi must have used some secret way of communicating. I don't know what method she's using, but it seems like it is working well. Tang Wutong whispered to Huo Yuhao, "Are we going to just wait like this? Do you think she'll threaten us? Did you notice how she exhibited significant emotional fluctuations when she was listening to how you had killed the evil eye tyrant? She also seemed to be frightened. When a person starts to become frightened, he or she tends to do things that are hugely irrational. Even though she has feelings for you, it is apparent that her son is a lot more important than you." "That's right. Her son. Where is her son? Can you see if you can find where her son is?" Huo Yuhao scanned his surroundings with his spiritual detection as he tried to find little Yunhan. Very soon he realized that right now, Shu Yunhan was in a room that was not too far from the room Zhu Zi was in. It seemed like he had not been moved away. Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong became a lot more relaxed after confirming his location. Just as Tang Wutong had accurately put it, little Yunhan was the person whom Zhu Zi cared about the most. Hence, it was clear that she did not harbor any ill intentions towards Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong from how she had left her son in that room. After all, she would never put her son's life at risk. It was 4 hours later when Zhu Zi finally returned. The sky was turning dark, and it was almost nighttime. After opening the door, Zhu Zi immediately sent her servants and maids away. She entered her room and made sure that she was the only one inside. She started to pant as she heaved a sigh of relief. After all, she was dealing with the emperor of the biggest empire in the entire Doluo continent. There would be no turning back if she were to fail. She would lose everything, and her son would lose his position if her plans were to be discovered. Zhu Zi understood Shu Qianran too well. Hence, she was extremely careful with what she was doing. After returning to her desk, Juzi started to mutter to herself. After 2 hours, the sky will be completely dark. The aerial surveillance Soul tools will all explode by themselves. The different surveillance Soul tools on land will also be disabled temporarily. At least for the following hour, no one will be able to activate them. Hence, the two of you should take action after those surveillance Soul tools have exploded. Following which, both of you can escape while the entire compound falls into chaos. In about an hour's time, it will be time for his dinner. Tonight, he has invited 6 Class 9 Soul Engineers for dinner. This is already a habit of his. I will ask Elder Kong to take care of my son. I have no clue about what else is going to happen. None of the 6 Class 9 Soul Engineers are under me. However, you can rest assured that all of the other Class 9 Soul Engineers will not be taking any action. The linked defensive barrier will only be released after the aerial surveillance Soul tools have exploded. The only people you need to worry are the Soul Engineers from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion. They have been protecting this compound from the outside and are the nearest to Shu Qianran. Once he is in trouble, you can expect all of them to rush to his assistance instantly. As of now, Shu Qianran has exactly 11 Class 9 defensive Soul tools. All of them are activated automatically and have a diverse set of defensive effects. They can block all kinds of attacks, including spiritual and physical ones. The worshipped once concluded that even an ultimate Doluor would not be able to destroy all of these Soul tools within an hour's time. This will be your biggest challenge. I suggest both of you concentrate on one type of attack. You should either choose to launch a physical attack or a spiritual attack. This would mean that you don't have to work against all of the different Soul tools. In my opinion, it would be wiser for both of you to attack spiritually. After all, Huo Yuhao is most adept at this. On top of that, Shu Qianran had been mainly guarding against the 2 ultimate Doluor, who specialized in physical attacks. Hence, he should possess at most 4 defensive Soul tools which can guard against spiritual attacks. Yuhao, after hearing what I have said, are you still confident of pulling it off? The Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion will definitely rush over at the first instant. Even though the area is small, they just have to block the attacks for Shu Qianran to give him enough time to escape. Huo Yuhao had been listening to everything Zhu Zi had been saying. Her face was already a little flushed after she finished her last sentence.
Do you not plan to use your own people? Huo Yuhao asked plainly. Zhu Zi's breathing became a little heavier. Well, if you have absolute confidence, Huo Yuhao spoke plainly. Who would dare to say that he or she was absolutely confident about a plan like this? Since you already control the Imperial Consecration Hall, why don't you get them to help you too? Zhu Zi was startled by Huo Yuhao's words as she stood up immediately. What are you saying? Huo Yuhao smiled and said, am I wrong? Are you sure that you're not in control of the entire Imperial Consecration Hall despite being able to command Elder Kong, who is definitely the leader among the Class 9 Soul Engineers? Zhu Zi's breathing became even heavier as she stared at Huo Yuhao. After a short while, she revealed an awkward smile. You're really too smart. You are actually able to tell from the little things and words I have said that I have control over the Imperial Consecration Hall. This is something I haven't expected. Huo Yuhao said, to be honest, I wasn't very sure before this. Now, I am absolutely confident that that is the case. Actually, the words and actions you had made were not the things that gave you away. The biggest clue was the huge amount of confidence which you had in your plan. What made you so sure that you will be able to control the entire Sun Moon Empire after Shu Qianran is taken down? If you were not supported by a powerful institution or organization, you would not be able to secure political power that easily. Even though you have an unbeatable reputation within the army, that's not enough, at least for now. The support from the army will not allow you to suppress the royal family and protect your son's throne. If I didn't understand what you meant when you said that Elder Kong will help you protect your son, I would be really stupid. Even though I don't know how you've managed to convince Elder Kong, your plan should be a lot smoother with his support. In fact, you should have a pretty good chance even without our help. After all, you are Shu Qianran's empress. No matter how powerful his soul tools are, there are bound to be gaps and flaws you can take advantage of. Even if we don't come to help you, you should be able to take action once he lowers his guard after some period of time. Zhu Zedai suddenly smiled as she shook her head. I used to think that you used all your gifts on cultivating and becoming a good soul master. I thought that your brains were not as good as mine. It seems like I was wrong. However, I am very happy, but I can't tell you why. You are right. I do have a complete plan. Even without working with all of you, I still stand a good chance at succeeding. Elder Kong's only request for me was to not use anyone from the Imperial Consecration Hall for this operation. He did not want the Imperial Consecration Hall to be associated with this operation, regardless of whether it was successful or not. After all, the Imperial Consecration Hall is supposed to support the Emperor regardless of the situation. Hence, I really can't get them to help us. Hence, I only had two options, both of you or myself. As she spoke, Juzi slowly raised her hands to reveal her beautifully manicured nails. Her nails were colored with a pearl-like color. There is poison in my nails. Every single dish Xu Tianran eats is tested by someone. I have managed to bribe one of them to allow me to sneak a poison dish to him. I am confident that the plan will succeed because the poison will only be added when the dishes are being brought to the table. However, death due to poisoning usually leads to a very chaotic situation. Hence, it would be best if we can kill him physically. Everyone would believe that it was but an act of revenge from the two ultimate Delor. This video will end here.